Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Bristol Township Council meeting. This is July 18, 2024. Starting time looks like 7:04. Right now, call to order. Can you, let's do, yeah, got it. I can't hear.
I'm the Assistant Township Secretary, so I'll do that.
Okay, it's starting already. So please stand for Pledge of Allegiance. And I had something on my mind, that's why I drifted a little bit. Moment of silence for all our personnel overseas and here, and the ones that didn't come back, and our police officers. But also John Monahan, former council member, former mayor, former sergeant of arms. He passed away a couple nights ago. He was a big part of the community. And I just want to put that out, or think about John and his family for everything he's done for the township, and we think about you. Thank you.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Roll call, please.
Mr. Antonello.
Here.
Ms. Dunlap.
Here.
Ms. Murphy.
Present.
Mr. Bowen.
Here.
Ms. Wagner.
Present.
Mr. Glassen.
Here.
Mr. Blaylock.
Here. Thank you. Monthly reports are available for review in Township Manager's office. Public comments will be taken on land development and official action items. General comments will be taken during opportunity for residents to address council. Next, we have presentations. We have public hearings and ordinances, application of GRC LLC 500 Coventry, JRC, thank you, LLC 500 Coventry Avenue, Croydon, requesting a zoning change for properties at 607 2nd Avenue, tax parcel number 5-008-176 from R3 residential to C commercial, and 612 Coventry Avenue, tax parcel 05-008-177 from C commercial to R3 residential. Good evening.
Good evening. Mike McGinnis from Begley Carlin here on behalf of JRZ LLC. We can. You're good? All right. Do you mind scrolling? That's, if you go back up, that's fine. All right, perfect. All right. Thank you. Good evening. I'm going to take a moment, if I could, to sort of explain the odd situation that we're dealing with. And this will be somewhat duplicated when we discuss the proposed land development. But we took time to sort of explain what we called a Frankenstein monster situation at the Zoning Hearing Board back in April. What I mean by that is JRZ, who is the applicant this evening, owns two parcels that are before the board or council for consideration this evening. There is an affiliated entity, Zober Properties, which owns the parcel you can see just to the left here, across the street, which is a 7-acre parcel, which is not before council for consideration, but is going to be relevant as we discuss the potential uses. But there are two parcels, the first of which the address is 612 Coventry, and that is a 1/3 acre parcel. And then we have 607 2nd Avenue, which is just over 0.8 acres. So if we go to different, this is going to be the end result, but if we scroll to the next. The sheet 2 would be the existing. If we keep going. Where's sheet 2 there? All right. So that, yeah, this should be labeled zoned residential, but this gives you a flavor for the existing conditions. So when I say 607 2nd Avenue, and that is the 0.83 parcel, this is what we're talking about. And then when I reference the 612 Coventry parcel, it's approximately 1/3 of an acre. This is the parcel that we're referencing. So this is presently zoned residential. But if you look at the uses, and again, we're going to get into this as part of our presentation for the development, there are 3 separate non-residential uses on a residentially zoned parcel. So you have the outside storage material use on the corner here at the T intersection, and then you have two additional, we can label them commercial or industrial uses that exist on this portion of, again, what is one parcel. And then you have this parcel, which is zoned commercial, and this is in a C predominantly of property that is zoned R3 or commercial, but the uses have been historically flipped. So when we went to the zoning hearing board and tried to figure out what to do with it, and again, big picture, the overall purpose of the development is to propose 6 townhomes on this portion of the property. It's going to delete some residential. Again, we'll get into that in a second. The thing we tried to figure out was how to do our best to legally fix the zoning situation. And what I mean by that is obviously we're proposing townhomes, as you know, as part of our development. Townhomes are not permitted in the R3 district, which we're aware of. But as the Bucks County Planning Commission noted in their review letter, it's a much closer application if we have a residentially zoned, if we go now back to the next page, right here, a R3 residentially zoned property that is going to be home to a residential use. We're going to have a switch of the lot lines, so this is going to be a regularly shaped lot. The outside storage of material use gets deleted. We have 6 residential units that have a underlying residentially zoned designation. Then with the lot line change, this portion, which again is currently zoned residential, which is home to commercial uses, is going to flip to commercial. So the end result of this, if this all comes to pass hopefully, is we're not creating the perfect solution, but we're creating a much better solution in our opinion, where we have residentially zoned properties with a residential use and non-residential properties with a non-residential zoning designation. So probably need a flow chart to follow that. I apologize if that's a bit long-winded and confusing, but that's the purpose of the zoning change. And again, we acknowledge we're not creating the ideal zoning, but the issue was if we picked a different zoning district, we would have to be able to survive a challenge that this is spot zoning. And since this is a C of R3, we were stuck with R3. We couldn't pick a different residential zoning district. And since the rest of this is commercial, we thought the best use there was commercial. That way it was consistent if you looked at this from a planning perspective. So anyway, that is the long and short of it from the rezoning portion. Obviously, we're going to get into much greater detail with what we're proposing to construct there as part of the next agenda item. Happy to answer any questions, and I have both Rich Zober and Larry Young with me as well.
So this is just for zoning.
The house that's there, that's facing Zober, that is empty and run down, is that in what's residential right now, or is that in what's commercial right now?
If we go to the site, which page is the site plan of what's deleting? We scroll.
There it is.
Right here, 1 and 2. These are 2 dilapidated residential dwellings which both end up getting removed as part of this application. And the new lot line is going to be right around here. So currently, this portion, again, that is all going to, this is going to be a new lot line. This is all going to be commercial. This is all going to be residential. And then these end up getting deleted, so there's no conflicting uses.
Was there any reason that it wasn't torn down before? If it wasn't, has it ever been used?
It was used.
Rich, you have to.
Yeah. Richard's over.
Come on up, Rich.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
Yes. Richard's over.
D-O-B-E-R?
Yep, correct. Yes, the homes, the one home facing the company was used years back, and then it was considered not safe for residential, so the previous owner of the property had the people that lived there move out, and it's been empty since then. The other smaller home that's in the back, that does have tenants in it now, but they know that it has to be, tore down.
When did you acquire the property?
Do you remember the date of that?
I don't.
I'd have to look, I don't know.
Yeah, rough guess, how many years ago?
5 years.
About 5.
Okay, it's not that you've owned this all this time
No,
and let that happen.
No.
Okay.
No,
And-
we purchased it from the auto repair person that's there, Sean and Richard, so.
Mr. Zober, the two-car garage that's in the back, that's next to the house, is that staying?
No,
That's
that one's
coming
staying.
down too?
Yeah, that one, that's staying.
Okay.
Yeah,
And-
the ones that are in this direction, facing the building, they're staying, correct?
Facing the building.
Yeah, facing the
Yeah, the
Zober.
commercial building staying,
Right,
of course. And then next to attached to the commercial building, looks like a grinding shop.
yes,
Is that coming down? Because that doesn't look aesthetically good.
no, that'll have to be redone, that'll be
Okay.
remodeled
Okay.
and repaired. That's like a jig boring guy where he
Right.
does close tolerance boring of metal.
Because I drove by and it's like, that
Yeah.
looks tough.
Yeah, that one
Okay.
needs a lot of,
And you have a container there behind the garage, a storage container.
right.
Is that staying?
I don't think so. No, that's
Okay.
going to, right,
Okay. All right. So it's pretty much cleaned up.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we plan that both tenants that are there, in both the auto repair and the jig boring company, they know they're staying and we're gonna rehab those, yes.
All right. But actually, we're back to zoning is what.
Correct.
That's okay. Good to ask. So we want to move forward.
Is that the only businesses on those properties? The jig boring and the auto, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, that's correct.
And once, parking, I know that's part of land development.
Yeah, and that'll be part of, there's sort of a list of what I would submit are
Okay.
significant
How about-
benefits as part of the development, and that includes the parking
Right,
situation as well.
okay. So we'll go, right now, we're working
land
on zoning.
development.
So we're working on zoning right now.
So, but we're talking about going to R3, correct?
Yes,
That's right.
and cleaning it up. It's-
Then,
it's
and
all
then we're
mixed up.
gonna
Right.
put townhouses in and,
And we will go and review
land
the land
development.
development plan.
Okay.
Okay.
All right,
Okay, so
I'll make a motion.
we
that-
need a motion by Patrick Antonello to approve it,
I'll second.
second by Cindy Murphy. On the motion to approve the zoning change, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed to it? Is there any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, and before we go on, Mr. Flagger, we forgot to mention executive session. So if you would just mention before we started the meeting.
Be my pleasure. Before this meeting, we met an executive session where we discussed real estate, personnel, and litigation matters.
Thank you. Next, we have a consent agenda. We need to consider approval of voucher list and requisition dated July 18, 2024, an amount of $3,583,402.91. And we need to consider approval of June 20, 2024 council meeting minutes. We need a motion by Mary Ann Wagner,
Agenda.
second by Marcia Dunlap on the motion. Is there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you. Report from Township Manager.
Thank you, President Bowen.
You're welcome.
I just wanted to advise of a couple announcements. We have our final concert of the year on Friday, August 2nd. That's Shot of Southern at 7 p.m. We will be hosting our National Night Out with our police and emergency services on August 6th, and that is from 5 to 8 p.m. And both of those are at the event space at the municipal complex. Some positive information to advise. We have gotten the go-ahead and the green light that the work on the Randall Avenue Bridge will commence this Friday night, and we'll work this weekend, and that's the positive news. Yes. That we have the work approved now. Weather, manpower for Amtrak are always a consideration that we have to be aware of. That could cancel a job. and push it back to another one. But right now, the weather looks good. The manpower is there,
We'll see.
and we'll see what happens. Exactly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Flagger, is there anything on the agenda?
Just briefly, it's on the agenda later, but just as an explanation for under 10D, amending the complaint in opioid litigation case, the federal judge overseeing that litigation had put a moratorium on adding parties because it was kind of getting out of hand.
Right.
That's been lifted, and so we need approval from all the municipalities to add 2 additional defendants to that case, which will then proceed.
Okay. So we'll get there and we'll make a motion on that.
Yeah, just as an explanation to it, though.
Next, we have application of JRC LLC, 500 Coventry Avenue, Croydon, requesting preliminary and final land development approval in order to construct 2 3-unit, 6 units total, single-family attached dwellings, townhouses on a property located at 612 Coventry Avenue, tax parcel 5-008-177, and 607 Second Avenue, tax parcel number 5-008-176 in Croydon.
Thank
Good
you.
to see you again.
Likewise. Mike McGinnis from Begley Carlin here on behalf of JRZ. I'm going to give a brief summary. Obviously, we just touched on some items, and then I'm going to have Larry do a quick overview of the plan and answer any questions that council may have. So as we stated, this project consists of the construction, you can see here, of 6 townhouses in total, 2 sets of 3. As I noted, as part of the zoning change, there are 2 underlying parcels which are affected as part of this development. The current lot line composition is going to be altered as part of the development approval, so that the end result is going to be 2 rectangular, one close to square-shaped lots that are going to be consistent in terms of keeping the commercial uses on a commercially zoned lot and the residential uses on now what would be a R3 zone lot. In conjunction with the proposed construction, as we noted as part of the zoning change, we are permanently eliminating the 2 residential structures, which are approximately in this location on the property, and then as was just confirmed and committed to, we are also going to be removing or classifying as the storage container, and then Mr. Zober stated putting some TLC into the existing commercial buildings that he had acquired a few years ago. I want to highlight, just maybe do it a little bit differently, what I think are some of the benefits to this application, some of which may be clear on its face and some of which may not be clear on its face. So first thing, which we just discussed, was this is going to improve the situation permanently from a zoning standpoint. So if the properties are ever conveyed in the future, we now have zoning that makes sense for any redevelopment efforts. We clean up the lot lines, so we're creating now regularly shaped lots, which are consistent with somebody who is a planner might recommend as part of a development. We eliminate the outside storage use permanently, so this portion of the property has been historically utilized, looking at some of the county GIS aerials for outside storage. That goes away, so we're eliminating what's probably the least aesthetically pleasing use, again, in perpetuity, and replacing it with new homes, in addition to the removal of the residential structures that are in dilapidated condition. We are implementing stormwater management as part of this development, and there is no stormwater management anywhere here. So we're going to end up with a marked improvement in terms of stormwater runoff generating from this site going forward. We improve the parking situation, which Council President Bowen just inquired about. We, again, looking at some of the aerials and people who are familiar with this site, have realized that with the 2 commercial industrial uses on the corner here, there's often, unfortunately, been a scenario where you end up not having adequate parking and you have vehicles parking at this portion of the intersection. By redeveloping the site, we're able to substantially improve the parking on what will now be the commercially zoned lot in a way that we're confident is going to permanently remove the cars from the street and capture them to the interior of the site. And then finally, and I can speak from experience, I many years ago worked at Zober Industries. I've probably been to the property 500 times, and you come in from the site and you come up Coventry. Here's a picture of Coventry. Coventry is 16 feet wide, and coming in is not that big of a problem, but going out if you're trying to make a left, you know, you're taking your life in your hands. So one of the things, in addition to some of the off-site improvements that we're proposing, that we thought was a good suggestion, and we worked with the township consultants on, was to modify Coventry, because we had some restrictions in place that would really prevent widening from being effective, to changing this to a one-way up towards the facility. So people coming in are going to be going one way, and then if you are going to be leaving, either residents here, businesses, or somebody on the Zober Industries property, they're going to traverse down this way out through Magnolia, and they're going to be making a much safer traffic maneuver, limiting the likelihood of a dangerous accident right by the overpass. So I think, you know, obviously a lot of projects have positive benefits, but here there's some of those are obvious on their face. Some of those I think are less obvious, but when you look at the development, hopefully a year from now, you drive by the site, you're going to be dealing with a much different situation than if you drive by it today. So that's where we are. We have a number of waivers, but what I'd like to do is have Mr. Young walk through what we're proposing, a little bit extra flavor, and then open it up for any questions.
I think Mike stole my thunder, but that's okay. Yeah, as Mike said, this road will be one way. One way this way, you know it's a problem with the overpass from the train tracks. There's 6 units here. We're basically netting 4 residential units because two of the dwellings are going. There's a parking lot here that will be shared by a HOA. This blue color is underground basins underneath the parking lot, and they basically take 100% of the flow. That soil in that area is very coarse and drains real fast. So we were able to, instead of discharging it off-site, we're able to infiltrate it into the soil at that point. One of the problems that we had was that instead of a road being right down the center of the right-of-way, for some reason over the years when this road was put in, it was pushed all the way over next to our right-of-way on our side. And, you know, right up against the guide rail, as Mike said, it's only 15 feet wide, 16 feet wide. It's barely enough for 2 cars. And there's a guide rail and a fence from the railroad that would prohibit us from widening that road. And you know there's a buttress wall right here from the railroad track. So there's some of the obstacles. So we decided on one way. Same thing with the commercial property. The blue is an underground basin. We are not discharging the water out to any storm system because there was no storm system in the roads in that area. So we're taking 100% of the water and infiltrating it into the ground. And again, it's a very fast infiltration rate for that to happen. I think one of the comments in the review letter by the traffic engineer, we had a 2-foot grass strip between the garage and the parking lot. We're just moving the whole parking lot over 2 feet to eliminate the grass strip. And then we'll go down to just one entrance. Before we had 2 entrances right next to each other. So this will be a vast area of asphalt in here, and it'll only have one access point at that point. I believe that's it. We received variances to allow the use, the dimensional variances and performance variances that are needed for this site, and everything in green is a grassed area instead of stone and things like that.
So, and I do want to state 2 other things that aren't apparent in the review letters, and they're not in the resolution, but I want to state them for the record. we're dedicating the sewer mains, and we had conversations with Mr. Schroeder, and we'll confirm that post-council meeting and as part of the development agreement package, we'll end up executing an easement for the township's benefit for access if it ever becomes necessary to the sewer mains. We're also, this portion here between Second and Coventry, Mr. Zober's affirmed willingness to install a receiving ramp from an ADA standpoint at the corner. So we're going to be willing to do that. And the final comment that I'll make that Rich testified to at the zoning hearing board that I think is important to reiterate regarding the project as a whole. Zober Industries in this building, council may or may not know, employs approximately 200 people, and a lot of people who are Bristol residents. And in this labor market, Rich has had a lot of opportunities to try to bring in additional people, and really we're lacking for adequate housing supply. So one of the things he talked about was, he's hopeful that he's going to be able to end up having people who are going to be employed at Zober live here. So there was that's how this project came to be in the first place, was a defined need as part of his business that he thinks could be a benefit to Bristol residents who came to move here and hopefully would secure gainful employment with Zober. So that's what we have, I think, from a high-level standpoint. We're happy to answer questions or get into any waiver requests and comments that council has.
Mike, are these for rent or for sale?
The intention is for Rich to maintain ownership and then rent those
Okay, thank you.
Mostly for your employees? No, how many employees do you?
You said over 200.
Just curious. And then I want to ask something about sidewalks.
Yeah, we range between 195 to 205 normally.
Okay. Yeah, so sidewalks are out on, if I read it right, out on Coventry?
Yeah.
In the front. But that's next street over, I forget the name of it.
Second or Magnolia?
The next street coming off of Cedar?
This is Maggie.
Yeah, is there
Magnolia.
sidewalks there?
There's no sidewalks.
I can't hear
along,
you.
There's no sidewalks down Second Street.
Okay.
Because these driveways come right
Yeah,
out to
I
the
saw
road.
that. How about going,
There's a proposed sidewalk that
Right.
stops at our property line
Okay.
on Coventry, and there's nothing in Magnolia as far as sidewalk.
so just one thought as, because it's you got the train station, a lot of people walking. If you don't do sidewalks, but in lieu of, so future, I just think down the road's going to be heavy developed. They're doing it on Coventry.
Just Coventry,
Yes,
but that's
just
across
up-
from the tracks.
Just up to here,
Right.
Right, coming from.
where our property
Yeah,
frontage
but you
is.
got the other street.
So what I think President Bowen is trying to explain is council has taken a look over the years of all the developments that sidewalks have been waived. And if you look at it, we would have a lot of sidewalks by now. So rather than have you install the sidewalks per the plan, you can have an engineering probable opinion and then a fee in lieu of to allow the sidewalks on Second and Coventry. Because we don't know what the future development of that area is going to be.
So what they're saying is, they wouldn't make you put the sidewalks in along your frontage on Second Street and Magnolia.
Right.
But what they would do is accept the fee in lieu of,
Okay.
for the cost of the constructing sidewalk along this side and this side of your property.
Okay.
So they wouldn't
Yeah.
go in, but
Right.
they'd have the money in the future
Okay.
to put it in.
Right, that's fine.
So.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. That's work with that as with the township engineer. Okay. Anything else? Questions?
I have a question. I have a
Go
couple more questions.
Give me some sense of your time frame right now. I know everything is, you're approved tonight. What's your time frame?
But we still have to address the sewer planning module, which is always lagging.
We're trying.
Yeah, I know. So is DEP. So, we still have to do that. We got the adequacy for the Bucks County Conservation District.
Okay.
We'll have to submit for just a few changes we're gonna make on the plans, again, but that's 30 days to get that review back. So you're talking best case, probably 4 months before we even hear back from
Right.
DEP.
Right.
So,
You might be able to do some site work, but you're not gonna do any.
Can't do anything till that.
Right.
yeah,
Approved.
yeah.
Okay.
I guess the goal is to get the foundations in prior to the winter
Winter,
months.
yeah.
You know, at that
Then you
point.
can work all winter.
Yeah, so.
Okay. Ms. Ms.
Mazer,
Mazer?
thank you. Mazer, thank you. I just have a couple questions, and it wasn't clear. With the one-way, and I apologize for doing this now. With the one-way on Coventry, there is a resident adjacent to you that is on Cedar and Coventry, and so now that'll be one way. Has anybody spoken to her about that?
No, we haven't been able to talk to them yet about that, so, we'll have to reach out to them. Have you
Well-
tried to reach out to them?
We
yet?
haven't connected.
Yeah, so
Okay.
the township would have to do an ordinance. I mean,
Right.
the developer can't declare that a street
Yes,
is one way.
right.
We would have to do an ordinance, but before an ordinance is put forth, we'd like to know that you had conversations with them and explain the situation. I and all of the residents, especially around Croydon train station, appreciate, I mean, they already have signage right now that anything that's coming out to Cedar, it says all trucks must turn right, so that they don't go underneath the bridge. So that's wonderful. For the dedicating of the sewer mains, has it been agreed upon, because I didn't see this in the review letters either, that, you know, obviously you'll televise them, make sure that they're fine before they're dedicated to the township?
Yeah, that's, of course, yes.
Sometimes the obvious is not always the obvious. Thank you.
Mr. Schroeder? Thoughts?
I have nothing else to add.
Thank you. Okay, we need a motion. Well, motion first and then question. So we need a motion.
Greg, I'll make that motion.
Motion by Joe Glassen, second by Marcia Dunlap. On the motion, is there any questions on the project? All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Thank you.
Thank
Good
you very
luck.
much.
Thank you.
Can I ask you a question, Mr. Zobert? Did you come before us about the sign on 13? Right? Was that changed, or is it still the old one? It was long ago, right?
Help wanted sign?
It's not the Amtrak sign, it's on his property.
Yeah.
Right.
Help wanted.
For help wanted, it's
Yeah.
been there forever.
Yeah.
You know, we have a zoning officer now that is very good and does his job. and so that was
It
brought up.
wasn't to change it, it was just to allow it, that
maintain it.
it was already there. Okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Zober.
So it states in here, just real fast, I'm just asking if the resolution has to be changed or we can have it signed tonight. It states in here that a waiver from the requirement to provide sidewalk along the abutting streets except with the opinion of council with advice from the township engineer and planning commission. So does it really have to be changed or?
Whatever's easiest for council. If it needs to be changed, then just email. We'll have Rich sign it in the next couple of days if you're more comfortable with that. That's fine. Just, yeah. That way it's explicit. Just flip the page.
Yeah, just a signature page. Thank you.
Thank
Next, we have bids for 2024 curb ramp program.
I love talking into a microphone. So we're recommending a curb ramp project for 2024 be awarded this evening to NJS Concrete LLC for a base bid amount of $299,635.
Anything else?
Well, I thought you were going to go into a little bit more detail. That at 2 months ago in May, we did an intent to award. And after going through the RCO requirements, our responsible contractor ordinance requirements, the first two low bidders were not deemed qualified, and so now we're back recommending somebody else. So the qualified bidder.
Was it?
NJS
NJS Concrete.
LLC.
Haven't they done that? They've done the, yeah.
Yeah, they've done
They've got
this
history
project
with us.
in past
Yeah.
years.
Yeah, okay.
We need a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Patrick Antonella.
I'll second.
Second by Sidney Murphy on that question. On that motion, is there any questions? All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Next, we have a second amendment to the wastewater treatment system operation and maintenance agreement.
Thank you again, President Bowen. This is just to change, we are contracting out with Inframark to do our storm sewer PA1 callouts. So they have said that they do the sewer callouts for the Croydon treatment area, and they said that they can add on for an additional $32,500, which is a steal, to add the storm sewer, and that would be throughout the entire township for any one calls.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Patrick Antonella, second by
Marcia.
Marcia Dunlap. On the motion, is there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you. Next, we have amend complaint and opiate litigation case.
We heard about.
Yep, well, we need a motion on that.
I'll make a motion.
Motion
to
by Cindy
approve it.
Murphy. Second by Marcia Dunlap on the motion. Is there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you. Next, we have other business. Any other business? Next, we have comments from council members. I just want to thank Steve Sanasoro and Tina Davis. They brought funding down to the fire companies, mostly Bristol Borough, but also 3rd District, and all the help needed to keep our volunteers here. And so kudos for the money you brought down to the fire companies. Joe, I just had a question. Did you get money?
We did.
I didn't see the picture of that. Yeah. All right. Well, we thank Tina Davis again and Steve Sanasoro for bringing that funding down. Much appreciated.
Greg, I'd just like to make note of the fact that I was at the 3rd Bristol Township outdoor concert at the amphitheater this past Saturday, and it was a delightful time. We thank everyone that came out, and I just want to talk about it a little bit more to continue to encourage folks to check out the concert series. We have one more coming up. It's country and western, shot of southern, extremely popular. We'll have a big crowd out for that. And along with the evening, like the bands that we have had leading up to this are family friendly. The kids are free. It's a great summer night out. You want to do something. We saw a number of families there last weekend. And Brian, our Parks and Recs director, does a great job. He's out there working hard. There's a 50-50, food trucks, ice cream trucks. You know, it's really a lovely, lovely evening. So we encourage you to
Come on
take
out.
advantage. Come on out. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Pat. Anybody else? Okay, next we're going to move on to opportunity residents to address council. And the first one is Carla Reynolds on a slip. Beep.
Oh, time's up.
Time's up.
Hello, everyone. My name is Carla.
So, Carl, you can push that green button down.
Push the button so it's a green light.
You'll see a button there. Push it down when it goes green.
Hello,
There we
everyone.
go.
My name is Carla Reynolds. I am the founder and director of the Boots of the Ground Foundation that's located at 301 Wood Street in Bristol Borough. 19007.
Oh, is that it? And now it's me? Okay. Hello, I'm Kelly Montezami. I'm the president of the Boots on the Ground Foundation. And the reason we are here this evening is because we would like to present to Randy Mazer. Is that correct now? Okay. We have a congressional award we would like to offer to her. I'm just going to read it to you. You're receiving this letter on behalf of the community, for you have been nominated to receive an honor on August 10th, 2024, during the celebration of Unity Day. Please arrive at 1:45 p.m. to check in at the check-in desk. We are looking forward to having you participate in this event. What is Unity Day? Unity Day is something that the Boots on the Ground Foundation does every year, honoring in conjunction with Brian Fitzpatrick, honoring first responders and uniting the community by creating a bridge between all ethnicities, cultures, and law enforcement to break barriers that currently exist in our society. And Randy's attributes have led us to this evening to present this award to her. So I'm going to walk over and give it to her.
Yes. Well, thank you. I was wondering why they were here because they didn't tell me.
All right. Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming out.
Be honest, you thought they were going to complain about something, right?
Like, here we go. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
Next one, Wes Ressler. Come on up, Wes. Tell me about all the good things we're doing in Bristol Township.
It's green, so I'm good. The only one that comes and complains about anything is me, Pat.
No, that's not true, Wes.
Oh, you gonna stick up for me tonight?
Absolutely.
Thanks.
No, I mean, it's not true that you're the only one that complains. We have other complainers.
Okay. Well, one of the things I'm going to complain about tonight is your township police department. When they come up here and take the oath of their official duties, they take an oath to uphold the ordinances of the township, correct?
I would agree.
So, my problem is when I call for zoning violations and ordinance violations and so on and so forth, the directive I'm getting back from the police department, from Slaughter and Layton, is that you don't turn that into us. That's a L&I problem.
I think it is.
Yeah, well, it may very well be, but it is the township police department's problem to come out there and be sure that there is, in fact,
I'm sorry, but no.
violation.
No, that's L&I, and if there's something criminal, then the Bristol Township Police Department would look into it. If it's an ordinance violation, L&I, one of our agents from L&I, one of our inspectors, would address that issue first. If there's a criminal issue, then it would be referred to the police department.
Well, then why does the police department have them take their oath saying that they'll come out there and uphold that and investigate
Wes,
that?
with all due respect, it's a manpower issue. You know, we have a certain amount of police officers on each shift, and they're responsible for protecting. Their number one job is the safety of our citizens. Now, that's not to say that an ordinance violation could create an unsafe situation, because that it could. But again, we have inspectors ready, willing, and able, once L&I or our building and planning is contacted, that would address that issue. And if there is something criminal revealed, then the police department would be referred. That's my best understanding of how this should work from a municipal standpoint. If everybody who called up and said, my neighbor's got a boat parked on the grass on the side of their house, send a cop, well, that wouldn't be an efficient use of our township manpower, right?
If it's parked on the street and causing a dangerous situation, that would be different, okay?
It could be.
Agree to that.
It could be.
Okay. Now, problem we're having is the people that are doing these things that are being reported only do this on the weekends when L&I, as you know, is not around. So, what do we do in that case?
Well, again, Ellen and I would have to assess the situation and make a determination of what to do.
We can't go with what ifs and just let him speak so we're not.
Right,
going
I
in
got
5
it,
minutes.
yeah.
It's okay. I like having definitive answers. That's what I come up here for. I'd like to have answers.
Right, but as Ms. Mazur just said, what ifs?
Okay, so this has been reported to the police and the L&I. So L&I has no choice but to come out there on the weekend to see it. If they don't come out on the weekend
What
to see it,
specifically has been reported?
what has been reported is using their residential property for a scrapyard or junkyard. And they came in and got a variance for a 10-foot fence so that they could do this. And you're gonna ask, how do I know this? My camera up on the peak of my house on the second floor can see this.
Okay.
Did you turn it into L&I?
Yeah, yeah.
We'll look into it.
Anything else?
You know, because if that's real, Wes, that's real. We'll look into it. We're not going to dismiss it out of hand.
I had specific addresses and all, but I would have much rather gave it to you like I did and get some kind
Well,
of
thank
answer.
you. Thank you, Wes. It's always good to see you. It's a pleasure. And thank you for coming out and telling us the situation in the township. At this point, we
I'll make
need a
that
motion to
motion.
dismiss. All in favor? All right. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for coming out. Enjoy the rest of the summer, and we'll see you at the concert.